Hey, YouTube fans, Mike Palumbo, and I want to talk about a recurring issue that people call me about all the time. A lot of things can cause your insurance to go up: points, accidents, and these things can also cause you problems with jobs. Another thing that people don't realize that causes them a lot of misery is having suspensions on their license. And I'm not just talking about having an open suspension where you fail to respond to a ticket, and then you suspend your license until you answer the ticket. But having that record of a prior suspension. So if you fail to answer a ticket on time, eventually they suspend your license, and you realize, oh my God, my license is suspended. And then you call the court, you work it out with them, and then they lift the suspension. Well, you might have been suspended for 2 weeks. There's a record on your driving record which lasts forever, saying, well, between this date and this date, you were suspended for not answering a ticket. Now, being suspended for not answering a ticket is not a punitive suspension. It's not like you were suspended as part of a sentence. Let's say you were caught doing 110 miles an hour, and the judge is like, you know what? I'm not just going to fine you, I'm also going to suspend you. That's a punitive suspension. And, that maybe should count against you. But people forget things, it's just a regulatory suspension. It's business as usual. So I get a lot of people call me saying, listen, I was suspended, but now I can't get a job. I was suspended, now my insurance is going to go up. Can you get the record of suspension off? Now, this is an insurance agency that always refers me to their clients, and they call me the magician because I make things disappear. I make prior convictions disappear. I go back to a court, I could bring a motion to vacate, and the conviction's gone, just like that. And then you resubmit to your insurance company, and whether they like it or not, they got to insure you at the right rate. They'll always insure you, just about how much they want. But I really can't get a suspension off I can in some cases, but by and large, you can't. The cases where you can, like for example, if you get 3 speeding convictions in an 18-month period, your license actually gets revoked, doesn't even get suspended. So a lot of times people will call me and they got that third conviction, and they're like, I got this notice, I got 3 speedings. I'll say, well, what are the names of the courts? And I say, okay, we just got to go back to one of those courts and vacate your speeding conviction, and immediately the revocation goes away. It'll come off your record as if it was never even there, because I untriggered the triggering event. So you're good to go. You get your license back, and it's not going to impact him. But if you had a correct suspension, like you failed to answer a ticket for 3 weeks, if the suspension wasn't put there in error, there's really nothing you could do about it. I can't go to the DMV. I can't go to the court. Now, I have a case that I'm working on right now where the guy was mailed a ticket, I think a red light ticket. He wasn't pulled over, and it wasn't a photo enforced ticket. It's in New York State. Mailed the ticket, and he said, I just moved. I didn't get the ticket. And then I eventually found out my license was suspended for not answering a ticket. I didn't even know I existed. It was suspended for 7 weeks, and now I can't get a job at a car dealership because of this. They won't hire me because of the suspension. So under New York State law, this officer has to hand you a summons. They can't observe you driving, get your plate number, and mail it to you. First of all, they haven't even identified you as the operator. That's illegal. I mean, they can't follow up and give you a ticket, but they have to hand it to you. They can't mail it to you. So I said, well, in that case, I can make a motion to vacate the conviction, because he pled guilty to it just to clear the suspension. But then, really, the entire process was wrong. So I said, what I will try to do is convince the judge that they should not have even litigated the case. It wasn't really the court's fault, because the court doesn't know this, and that it was a mistake. It really wasn't a mistake of the court, because the court did, but it was a mistake in process, and that the court has to advise the DMV that they suspended his license in error. I said, if I can convince the court of that, because when courts do sometimes make mistakes, and then they'll advise the DMV, and then they'll erase it. they'll erase the record of suspension. That's the only way you're going to get it erased, is if you could show there was a mistake made by whomever accrued that suspension to your record. So I said, I don't really know how a court's going to take this, because they're admitting to a mistake that they didn't really make. I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing. It was a mistake, and I could put it in writing, and I could make the motion to vacate, and they will vacate the conviction, and they will then they'll dismiss the case. Under New York State law, you have to hand someone the summons, so mailing it to him was ineffective as a matter of law. But he didn't get it, and I don't even think it sounds like he didn't even do anything wrong. He just moved. You have a certain amount of time before you got to advise the DMV, and how are you even going to advise the court? I mean, you can't even advise. You don't even know the ticket exists. So, in this particular, it's a very nuanced case, and he's thinking about what he wants to do. And I said, look, I think I can help you, but I can't guarantee your path is through the court. I can't call the DMV and tell them what happened. I can't even prove to them what happened, because they got to get the information from the court. And of course, if the court says no, you make your application and you put it in writing, and they deny your application to amend the record with the DMV, then you could appeal that. I think on appeal you would win, and I think many judges would understand what's going on, and they would work with you. But it's one of those really weird issues. But anyhow, the overarching point is that unless you cannot erase a record of suspension from your driving record, if it was correctly recorded. You can erase a record of suspension or revocation if it was done by mistake, or if a conviction that triggered it is vacated and it'll automatically come off. Those are the only two ways: a mistake, or it wasn't a mistake, but then the triggering event, the triggering conviction, was vacated. Anyhow, Mike Palumbo, that's it for now, and looking forward to seeing you at the next one.